I'm Nancy Buckman, and I'm a master jewelry making person. I am self-taught. I have enjoyed this project of mine for the past 10 years. I've been into the jewelry business. I've always done, I'm not doing very well. I started making jewelry about 10 years ago. I have always kept myself busy doing different types of crafts. Native American beadwork in the early years. Different things like that, sewing, crocheting, but I got into the jewelry making when I discovered gemstones. Gemstones are such a unique thing that is natural in the world. These are stones that we walk on or are underneath our feet and in the dirt that when polished up are beautiful works of art. And I just enhance their natural beauty. This is what got me started in doing jewelry, okay? One thing jewelry does is make a woman feel very nice and pretty when you put a pretty piece on. My inspiration started with going to a gem mining exhibition just to see what it was about. And I found these stones that were polished and they were shiny, some of them were not, but they were all naturally made. No enhancement to them. They just stood on their own as far as the beauty was concerned. And I started looking around and deciding these need to come out of the earth and be shown and worn. And I really got started doing the jewelry with that. From that, I moved on to incorporate my earlier talents of doing Native American bead jewelry, and I incorporated the gemstones with that. I use different medias when I'm making the jewelry. After I started making so many beautiful things, more than I could give away to family because they were getting tired of getting nothing but jewelry from me, and me wearing everything I could wear, I thought, well, there's other people in the world might enjoy this. So I had thought, well, we better establish a company or a business that I could sell some of this. And then I could buy more materials to make more things. So the circle goes on. So I established our company called Nanike, which comes from my name and my husband's name, Nancy and Mike. And it's called Nanike Originals, because our pieces are original. Our success with Nanike has been very good. Every year it seems to get better. I have a lot of repeat customers now, and that's always very nice. I do special orders, as in doing jewelry for wedding parties, for the brides. Special occasions, ladies are going on cruises and they want to have a real fancy piece to go. And I do what I call bead art. And we'll show you some of those pieces later. So I like to do the custom order things. One of my favorite things to do is take somebody who I have a brooch. They'll come and tell me I have a brooch for my grandmother. I never wear it because I don't wear brooches or pins or whatever. So I could take that piece and I'll incorporate it into something that they can wear almost every day. And then that's an heirloom that comes out of the closet, out of the jewelry box, and is actually used again, giving life back. That's one of my favorite things to do. As I mentioned, getting into the jewelry end of it was because of gemstones. When I would find gemstones that were so pretty, as in this piece right here. Piece of turquoise and coral, and I incorporated it and made it a beautiful piece. I use sterling silver, copper pieces, a lot of different medium, pearls, coral, shells, all kinds of things can be used. My husband will make pieces out of metal, which would be the pendants and things, okay, that he makes. And then I incorporate that and make something out of it. I also use the medium of seed beads. as in this, okay? This is made with tiny seed beads. It's a bracelet. Many different designs, okay, which we'll show you some later. I can incorporate the seed beads and make photographs like the Mona Lisa bracelet I have, which is actually a picture of Mona Lisa's face on a bracelet. I do those with tiny, tiny seed beads, they call them. I also use a medium of what they call chainmail, which is taking little rings, and it's how you attach them into each other that make beautiful pieces also. With those, a lot of times I like to use the gemstones in those also. I'm working on a piece with seed beads right now. And then of course my masterpieces are my wearable bead art that I do, and I incorporate all sorts of natural elements into it, as you will see in the photos. It's hard to say that I have a preferred medium that I use, because just like the seasons, through the year I go through phases of where I get hooked on my chainmail, and I'll make a whole bunch of chainmail items that just fancy me. One thing I don't do very often is duplicate anything that I make. That's my main thing. The only exception I do is if it's for a bridal party or duplicates for a special occasion, special order that somebody does. My favorite things in the quiet of winter time, I usually like to take it several months and work on one of my wearable art pieces, because you can only work at those a couple hours at a time. They kind of take a life of their own. But every field I go into, I'm into it. It's like it's my favorite at that moment. So you're doing gemstones, and I just am searching for them, and then they just come alive for me, and I make things out of them, whole sets. I make jewelry and necklaces, bracelets, earrings that all match, that go together. And people can purchase the whole set or each piece. The wearable bead art that I make is very intense, okay? And I'm going to give an example. As of my last one that I did, I had that thought in my mind for a long time. I had found a large round crystal piece that I had had for a couple of years actually, and one day it dawned on me that looks like a sun, the middle of the sun, and there we have but one sun that shines down on all of us, and that kind of became my theme for this wearable art piece. I had my husband make some faces, different colors, different shapes of faces out of a jeweler's acrylic, and with those faces I centered them into clouds in this jewelry piece, and the sun was in the middle and it was shining on all of the people. So that was my inspiration behind that. There was nothing but it started with a thought. I have actually a thought for my next project, and it's kind of like a beach scene with a mermaid sitting on a rock and some sea creatures and things. Now that's just my thought process right now. As I collect the pieces in the next couple of years, it'll all come together, and one of these days I'll sit down and say, I've got it now, and I'll start laying these pieces out and working with it. I found a brooch actually at a thrift store, and in the center of the brooch was a face of a woman, a beautiful face. So it was actually made out of china. It's a small piece, and it was on some yucky looking backing. So I took the backing off, and from that I sat her on my work table here for several months, and then one day it was like she spoke to me and said, okay, this is going to be a very girly, pinkish, flowery kind of piece. And so that bead art came out with the center being this china face of a Victorian kind of looking lady face, and around that gives it a whole Victorian type of look. I have many outlets for my jewelry. I like going to arts and crafts shows because I can enter my big pieces as art, and I can also rub elbows with other very talented people. I love people with talent, and that of course is a good outlet, and especially around Christmas time I like to go to those shows. But I'm also have a site on Etsy. You can see some of my creations. I put them on Etsy. If you go to Etsy, all you have to do is type in Nanike, Nanike, Nancy and Mike. I do have an email address. It's called Nanike Originals at yahoo.com. Very simple, very easy. I work out of North Carolina, but I do shipping. I do special orders over the phone, and through the wizardry of the internet, we can share ideas of what you're looking for, what you're wanting. I don't really have a popular sell. There are times when the seed beadwork goes. People are looking for the details in their jewelry and things like that, the special orders. I think the biggest calling card that I have is that I do not duplicate. So if you buy a bracelet from me, or you buy a necklace from me, or a whole set, you're not going to see anyone else wearing it. Okay, it's going to be quite unique. And I keep my prices at a price range that people can afford them. It's not so out of sight that it's out of the everyday hardworking woman's range to be able to afford to wear something pretty. So I think that's my biggest draw, is I have different, unique. I have a lot of silver or gold plate or copper in it, which gives it the richness and gives it the different look. It's not just all beads per se when I do my sets. One of the neatest stories that I usually tell is one time I went to the beach with some of my granddaughters and their friends, and we were going up and down the beach collecting seashells, looking at seashells. Well, from that experience, I took the seashells, we looked at them and cleaned them up that night, and each girl that day got a pair of seashell earrings that I made for them. So I was able to take that experience and make jewelry for them for Christmas time. I gave them like a necklace with some of the shells on it that says, "Remember when we were on the beach? This is from that day." So it made it kind of very special. So it's enabled me to do special moments for myself and my family as well. And that's probably where I got the idea of passing that on to other people. Where if you have a certain piece or a certain item that means a lot to you, don't keep it in a box. Bring it out and use it every day, and you enjoy it because it only means that much to you. And it should be worn and remembered. I thank you very much for joining me today. I've had a lot of fun trying to explain what I'm doing and why I enjoy making jewelry so much, and working with gemstones and working with shiny parts and pieces to make pretty things for pretty women. Thank you for joining me today.